57 years! Come on, Knitted Sticks, celebrate with me. So, it's Doctor Who's 57th anniversary day today. So, I was going to do like a tribute video of clips from the show or something, but I got a busy schedule so I didn't really have time. So I thought this would be a good alternative. Another ranking video, but this one's going to be of the Doctor's Regenerations. Not the most special thing in the world, but I thought Regenerations are the primary reason the show has lasted 57 years. So I thought, why not rank them? Let's just get on with it. Now, the rules. As with most of my ranking videos, there's rules governing the criteria that will be included in said list. Only the Doctor's Regenerations, and only the main ones. No fake-out regenerations, like Impossible Astronaut, Light of the Lamb, because, yeah, they weren't even regenerations. Only ones that we've seen on screen in, like, official Doctor Who media as well. I'm also not going to count the 10th Doctor's first regeneration from Stolen Earth, Journey's End. While that does count as an actual regeneration, it doesn't change the actors, so I don't know. Some people do count that one, but personally, I'm going to leave it out of this list. So that leaves us with 13 regenerations to go through. Also, I'm not including the 6th Doctor's regeneration from Big Finish. I know they fixed his abysmal regeneration a few years ago in Big Finish. I've not heard that audio yet. It is on my to-do list. I will get around to it eventually. But at this moment in time, I've not heard it, so unfortunately I can't speak for it. So we're going to have to just go with 6's TV regeneration, although I will say a little bit about 6's regeneration in a few moments. Okay, anything else I'll mention along the way. But starting off, number 13. There are no bad regenerations, but there are just some that have to be placed near the bottom out of necessity. And unfortunately, the least favourite for me is the War Doctor's regeneration. Something I like about this regeneration is it's kind of upbeat, you know. The War Doctor, Day of the Doctor, gives us the War Doctor's final adventure, and he regenerates at the end of it into 9. The War Doctor's kind of happy, you know. He's finally realised that I don't have to kill all my species to win the Time War. It's just really happy seeing the War Doctor know that he didn't have to kill his species, basically. Actually, the end of the Time War wasn't so sad after all. But on the other hand, it is kind of sad because, as we know from previous experience, multi-Doctor stories, they always have this thing where only the most recent incarnation that was there remembers the events. So while War was very happy for those few minutes knowing things were better, it is kind of sad knowing that as soon as he goes through the regeneration, 9, 10 and 11 are going to have to live with the memories, believing that they did the worst thing imaginable. But yeah, that's the good point about the regeneration. It's kind of bittersweet in a way. But yeah, the bad thing is they couldn't get Eccleston in to do even like a few seconds post-regeneration scene, so the regeneration is just cut halfway through. We see like half of a Photoshop Eccleston face and that's it. Yeah, kind of unfair of me to hold that against them, given how they couldn't get Eccleston in to do anything for this. There's no really bad regenerations when you think about it, but one of them had to go in last place, and unfortunately it was the War Doctor. Okay, number 12. Here we go. I said I'd mention it, the 6th Doctor's regeneration. Now, the 7th Doctor's first story, and it opens with a pre-title scene of Sylvester McCoy lying on the floor in a blonde wig, pretending to be the 6th Doctor mid-regeneration, regenerating into 7. Yeah, they fired Colin Baker. He refused to come back for a regeneration scene out of spite. I can't say I completely blame him, gonna be honest, given the circumstances in which he was sacked. Justice for Colin! So yeah, that's how it remained until 2015, when Big Finish stepped in. No longer was 6's regeneration a simple case of the TARDIS crashing, him falling over, knocking his head on something, and regenerating, which I never realised as a kid, but until someone pointed it out to me in a video I watched a few years ago, I come to realise that is the stupidest fucking reason for a regeneration ever. Like a special, like, mini box set, I think it was, basically, for the 6th Doctor. It's like a series of stories leading up to his last hour, pretty much. Yeah, Doctor Who, The Last Adventure for the 6th Doctor. I've unfortunately not heard it yet. I will get around to it at some point. And I've heard that the regeneration is really good in that. It involves 7 in some way. I'm not entirely sure how it happens. I think it's something to do with radiation, perhaps. I've heard a couple tidbits here and there, but apart from that, I really know nothing about it. But yeah, unfortunately, I have to judge this based on purely the TV show, so 6 is the second worst. I'm sorry, Colin. Alright, 11th place. People are probably going to hate me for this, some people might love me for it, but I'm going to put the 10th Doctor's regeneration from the end of time, his actual face change regeneration. Okay, some people love this one, some people hate this one. I don't really mind it, but I do have a fair few issues with it. All in all, it's a really good regeneration. I don't even really mind the sort of whiny-ish attitude that 10 has during his final minutes. The whole I don't want to go line. It's drawn out so long. I mean, what is this? End of Time Part 2. What is it? It's like the last 20 minutes almost are just dedicated to the regeneration build-up. And I get that they want to make a big thing out of it. It's a regeneration of a Doctor. I don't know. It just never sat very well with me, the whole putting it off for a bit and then visiting a load of companions and then, yeah, you know, I mean, would it really have made it any worse if he just saved Wilf and then gone to the TARDIS and regenerated the way it played out? You could cut out like the whole 5 minutes of him visiting companions and shit, and I don't think it would really detract too much from the regeneration. I like the cause of the regeneration. After all the fighting he's done with the Master, it's saving Wilf that brings him down. That's a very Doctor thing to do, very selfless, and I love it. But yeah, it's just that it's drawn out with the whole visiting companions thing I'm not a fan of. Everything else I think is done really well, but that just drags it down for me. Yeah, moving on before I get lynch mobbed by Tennant fans. Okay, number 10, we've got the 2nd Doctor's regeneration, Patrick Troughton. Like the 6th Doctor's regeneration, this one's a bit of a tricky one in that it gets kind of changed once you look into the expanded universe. Originally, at the end of the War Games, Jamie and Zoe had been returned to their own time by the Time Lords, and the Doctor has been exiled to Earth and forced to regenerate. The last we see of him is him spinning around in the Black Void, being sent off somewhere with his face like obscured, so that was cool how they did that. You can't really see his face, it's like already fading away. And yeah, the next we see of him is at the beginning of Season 7 when he stumbles out of the TARDIS as the 3rd Doctor. There's a bit of a gap, we have no idea what happened in between. Now, firstly, I don't know, I was never really a big fan of the spinning heads and then the spinning Doctor fading off into the void thing to begin with. I just feel it's a bit strange for a regeneration. But then also the gap in between as well, I should probably discuss that a little bit here. Now, there's a few things. Firstly, I believe there's a fan film that was made in the 90s called Devious that actually starred John Pertwee, so I've not seen it, but all I know about it is that it sort of bridges the gap. It actually shows Troughton morphing into Pertwee, and I believe that's all I really know about it. So I guess there's that to bridge the gap, but I'm not sure how much canon that's considered to be. And also another complication is the early Doctor Adventures books as well. There's like a mini-series of novels, I believe, where it's revealed that the Time Lords actually keep the 2nd Doctor as the 2nd Doctor after the final scene in the War Games, and they like force him to be an agent for the Celestial Intervention Agency. They send him off on a bunch of missions and shit. It's kind of a cool idea. Nice little addition, and then after all of that, then they change his face and exile him to Earth. So that's a nice little thing. I've not dived into it very much though, so I can't speak much on that. But yeah, just fun little fact there. But yeah, overall, another regeneration that's kind of muddled a bit by expanded universe. Although, unlike the 6th Doctor's, which has helped with the EU content, I think 2's is perhaps kind of harmed in a way. There was always that annoying gap there to begin with, and I don't know, it's a complicated one that I'm just not that huge of a fan of. It's okay, but I wouldn't place it too high. There you go. Okay, number 9, we've got the 7th Doctor's regeneration in the TV movie. Where to start with this one? I mean, it's functional. It works as a way to change Sylvester McCoy to Paul McGann, and that's really the only reason for it, pretty much. It doesn't feel very thought out and planned out as carefully as other regenerations. It really is just a way of filling the gap, and for the TV movie writer to get 7 out of the way and get 8 in as quick as possible. After having delved into 7's character a lot more over the years, this honestly feels like a bit of a disservice to him. This is the Doctor that manipulates the whole damn universe when it suits his needs. He fights Elder Gods every other day of his life, pretty much. And then, you know, this is the Doctor that pretty much always comes out on top. And for him to meet his end by just stepping out of the TARDIS and being shot down in San Francisco and then killed in a hospital surgery because the surgeons wouldn't listen to him, and then for him to just regenerate in a meat locker, in a Frankenstein-esque way, it feels like a disservice to a Doctor that, yeah, is 7! 7 was the master of time and space, for fuck's sake, and he dies by being shot and then his heart punctured in surgery. All in all, this one's functional, but it's a huge disservice to 7's Doctor. Number 8, we got the 12th Doctor's Regeneration. This one's the Moffat Regenerations. I don't know, I find them okay. 11 and 12's I find to be kind of drawn out too long. I've never been a huge fan of the whole monologue speech that goes on for like 10 minutes before a regeneration. I prefer the slightly quicker ones, but ones that have at least a bit of build up to them. A few nice lines of dialogue would be the ideal way to round off a Doctor's end. I'll mention some more of this with 11's regeneration as well. But yeah, back to 12, the monologue basically. It's nice to have something wholesome to say, but it goes on too long. But the actual regeneration itself, quite nice. Maybe a bit too much flashy explosions when he regenerates. Could have toned that down maybe a bit, but overall it's a really nice regeneration. I just feel the speech goes on too long for my liking. That's the only gripe I have with it, really. Number 7, the 8th Doctor's Regeneration. Having Paul McGann back for a minisode after so long back in 2013 was one of the best things that ever happened. I never really fully appreciated it at the time because I was only 12. I didn't know much about the classic era or the expanded universe at the time. But over the years I've grown to really appreciate Night of the Doctor a lot more. And yeah, 8's regeneration is pretty cool. 8's done some pretty wild stuff over the few hundred years of his life. You know, it's kind of a small scale way for him to die as well when you think about it. He's just saving one person that he met for like 2 minutes. You know, he just met Cass. Hell, she was even trying to kill him, like low-key get him killed, because she hates Time Lords because of the Time War, and he still tries to save her, and that's what ends up killing him. I really like the selfless acts that cause some of the Doctor's regenerations. There's this bit in Scherzo where the Sound Creature, if you've heard it you know what I'm talking about, where the Sound Creature takes the form of Charlie Pollard, his companion at the time, and there's the bit where she says that you die for anyone, Doctor, basically, and he just flat out agrees with it. He would die for anyone. You know, he sacrificed everything just to save one person, pretty much. And I feel like was it Stephen Moffat that wrote Night of the Doctor? So I feel like maybe it wasn't intentional, I don't know, but I feel like he took that line to heart, and here we have the 8th Doctor giving his life to save this woman who pretty much hates him as well, who he's met for like 2 minutes. And it doesn't work, she dies. She's dead as well, so it was all for nothing. I feel like that may be kind of what tips him over the edge as well, makes him decide to regenerate into the War Doctor. It's just a really well done regeneration. What more can I say? Okay, a little over halfway now. Number 6, we have the 11th Doctor's regeneration. A lot of what I have to say about this one is kind of also true for 12's. A couple spaces back. This one's a really nice regeneration. The build up to it as well in Time with the Doctor. Really sweet and wholesome. And yeah, the only thing I'm not sure about is the speech again. Nothing wrong with having one, it's just I feel it's a bit too long. Yeah, that's really all I have against it. 11 and 12's regeneration, the Moffat regenerations, pardon me, in particular, they're really good regenerations. I just have to deduct points from them for the speeches being a little bit too long. Okay, number 5, we've got the first Doctor's regeneration, the very first one. This is quite a nice regeneration. If you do include the stuff from Twice Upon a Time, it does kind of add a bit more depth to it, I guess. Originally, in the 10th Planet, we meet up with the Doctor again after he's been off screen for a bit, and he's like really weak and stumbly, and he's just like, "How's the body of man's wearing a bit thin, old boy?" And yeah, he just stumbles on back to the TARDIS. I do like the words he gives, the whole "it's far from being all over" that he gives. That's a nice little line to end off on. But then, yeah, Twice Upon a Time also comes in and gives him some extra stuff. It's very nice. Yeah, all in all, the first Doctor's regeneration, not the most amazing, not really the most memorable as such either, apart from it being the very first one. But it is very iconic. Yeah, I don't have much to say about the first Doctor's regeneration. It's just really well done and very nice. And we also owe an awful lot to it as well. Oh right, number 4. This is kind of a funny one. Number 4, we got the 4th Doctor's regeneration. That was the funny bit. The 4th Doctor's regeneration is at number 4. That was a joke. Laugh, damn it! I'm funny! I recognise that I'm almost certainly not funny. Yeah, 4's regeneration. Quite a nice one, this. Bit strange. You'd think a Doctor that lasts 7 years would have something a bit more dramatic in the way of an exit. I guess in that regard it's kind of silly that he just gets splatted. Yeah, falling off a radio telescope tower to his death isn't I don't know if it's how I would have killed 4 if I was writing Logopolis, but it works, it works. But the regeneration scene that follows, I think, makes up for it. Lovely scene. You've got the Watcher coming in and at the end of it and just breathing new life into him. The little, the companions around and then the little flashbacks he has to all of the 4th Doctor's previous companions, which they redid with the 12th Doctor's Regeneration, with all the new Who companions, if you didn't know. And then of course the immortal lines of it's the end but the moment has been prepared for. Quick grin, regeneration, boom, done. Beautiful, and the music's perfect. One of the best regenerations in the top 5, so there you go. Okay, into my top 3. Now, for these ranking videos, I don't really think about it myself. I use Preference Revealer. That's a website you use to pick different things over others. It goes on for a while and then eventually it compiles a list based on your choices. That's how I do these because I'm not really mentally capable of compiling a list in my own head. I'm kind of stupid like that. But these top 3 I knew from the start would be in this order where they are. So, number 3 we have the 5th Doctor's Regeneration from Caves of Androzani. One of the most iconic and heroic regenerations in the whole show. Obviously the Doctor and his companion Peri land on Androzani Minor. If you've seen the story, you know they get embroiled in this gun-running drug war. It's fucking brutal. Everyone's out to kill them. Everyone's out to kill each other. Everyone is out to kill everyone in that story. I've got to talk about that episode sometimes. Fucking brutal. You can't trust anyone except for the Doctor and Peri in this. And yeah, obviously they get poisoned very early on, a whole bunch of other shit goes down. The Doctor finds a cure, he and Peri escape to the TARDIS and they fuck right out of there. But yeah, obviously there's only enough of that bat's milk stuff to cure Peri. So the Doctor has to die from spectroxtoxemia poisoning. Considering Peri was only introduced in the previous story and they've only really been travelling together for a short amount of time, if you include some novels and some Big Finish audios, even though they have retroactively slotted in more stories between Planet Fire and Caves of Androzani, it is still a relatively short time span in which the Doctor's known Peri at this point. And he just straight up, without a second thought, gives it to life to save her, boom, done, that's the Doctor. These are the kind of regenerations that I love. Same with the 8th Doctor as well. Possibly the most heroic regeneration that we've had, or at the very least it's definitely up there. Number 2, I've got the 3rd Doctor Regeneration. Now this one isn't bombastic, it's not drawn out, there's not even really much of a speech or anything, but it's pretty sad, at least for me. 3 is a legendary incarnation of the Doctor, very stern. Throughout the 5 seasons that John Pertwee played the Doctor, it was so rare that we ever saw him vulnerable. There's only a handful of times where he's actually genuinely helpless, this incarnation. And something I always like about 3 is, because he is always so powerful and so in control, at least to a certain degree, it really makes his vulnerable moments even more impactful. And yeah, his regeneration I think is just the ultimate culmination of those 2 main states that we see this Doctor in throughout most of his era. He knows he has to go back to Metebelis 3 to defeat the giant Queen Spider. He does it, kills her off, well, tricks her into killing herself, you know, sort of thing the Doctor does. He knows he's going to die of radiation poisoning if he goes back to the cave where the spider is, and he just fucking ups and does it. Like the Doctor said, it's about facing his fears. He knew he was going to die, found his way back to Earth, right back into the unit laboratory, his home away from home. I just love the little bits of dialogue we get where he collapses on the floor, talks to Sarah Jane. You can tell he's practically almost dead already, and yeah, just the last words he gives. Fucking beautiful. Regeneration comes in and boom, Tom Baker. In fact, there's no music to it as well. I think, I don't know, for some people that might make it a bit naff, but for me I think it's perfect. No music, just Sarah Jane crying a little bit. The Doctor being like, don't cry, Sarah. Well, it's like... Sorry. And yeah, the fact that he doesn't even finish the sentence that well I think is pretty sad. I don't know if I go as far as to say it's heartbreaking because we know he's going to survive, but not everyone's a big fan of it. But I just really like 3's regeneration. I think it's almost perfect. It's lovely. But number 1, a regeneration that I would consider to be kind of a mixture between 3 and 5's regenerations. The heroicness of 5's regeneration and the almost sadness of 3's. Combine it together, it's a very little bittersweet experience, and that is the 9th Doctor's regeneration. You know, I never really thought about my regeneration rankings before trying to make this list, but when I started thinking about it, I realised that 9's regeneration is kind of perfect. It has the selflessness of other Doctors saving Rose. It's kind of reminiscent of the 5th Doctor saving Perry, even though he's going to die, just saving this one person. It's also kind of similar to what would happen with 10's regeneration a few years down the line. He's defeated the Daleks. You know, the big main threat of the episode is gone. You know, it's all good. Well, Rose kind of took care of that. But, you know, the big main threat of the episode's gone, defeated. He's made it out there alive. He could have just left it at that and sauntered off and lived to Christopher Eccleston another day. But being the Doctor, he can't let Rose die. Selfless acts for one person, didn't have to do it, but he did. Perfect. The music in this regeneration is lovely as well. It's kind of got that slightly sad feeling, but it's also kind of bittersweet, as I said. It's not too drawn out, short and sweet, a little bit of build up, perfect. Some people call it a bit bland and generically bog standard regeneration, but I'd say it may be, but for me it's the perfect regeneration because it's got like all the perfect elements of what a regeneration should be in there. It's got to be one of my favourite last words of any Doctor, along with the 3rd Doctor. And did I mention the music is perfect? Can't say much more about that because I'm an illiterate git. But yeah, anyway, well, there's my rankings of the regenerations. I hope I was able to explain my reasoning well enough, and I hope you enjoyed. Happy 57th birthday to Doctor Who, the greatest fictional franchise ever devised! Feel free to comment your own regeneration rankings below, or your top 3, top 5, or just your favourite one, or any thoughts you have in general about this. Leave a like if you did enjoy, subscribe if you haven't already. Here's to many more years of Doctor Who. And with that, it's goodbye from me and the little knitted stitch Doctor that I keep around for some reason. And yeah, see you in hopefully the next video, maybe a week or two, but I'll get something done. I've got a busy schedule, a lot of college work, just bear with me, okay? See you in the next one. Bye!